Okay, so this first question comes from at Darth Mandalorian Lothbrock, who says, "Hi Jake, you've played Pragmata. What I wanted to ask is, do you think it's true that it's a secret Mega Man game?" Look, that oh, hey, settle in, man. Thank you for being here. It gets more likes. Pragmata being a Mega Man game has been a long-running theory, and although Capcom has now officially come out and denied it, there has been really interesting conversation about this. A lot of people are drawing very small connections to Pragmata, that it might be kind of like a low-key Mega Man reboot or Mega Man experience, something set in that world. Even if you're not like a diehard Mega Man fan, I myself am not, so I can't go too super in-depth. Just like first getting a look at the character Diana, the little small robot girl, she gives off Mega Man vibes, like boy robot vibes, obviously little girl robot vibe, but like how her clothing and her sleeves kind of act almost like Mega Man weapons. Like there's little things like that here and there, connections with Dr. Wily and like lore. There's a lot of conversation online. Like I said, Secret Wind did a really interesting video about it. I've seen on forums like Resetera, people asked like yes or no, do you think this is a thing? And the poll was almost completely evenly split. Now, one of the main producers of the game did do an interview with VGC just at the end of August and said straight up, no, it is not a Mega Man game. That is not a thing, but I'm glad that people care about Mega Man. So debunked officially, but still, there's still questions in the air. And I think what's interesting about Pragmata is that, first of all, this is a harmless conspiracy theory. I think this is a fun one. I don't think it hurts anything. And honestly, I think because of how Pragmata has been presented, people are going to attach things onto it. Because I'm going to be completely honest, having played like a preview work in progress version of Pragmata, like it's cool, it's very straightforward, but it's also just kind of vague and simple. You're just like John Spaceman in very generic space station fighting somewhat generic robots. And it's like, what's the hook for this game? Why was this game greenlit? Other than a creative third-person shooting hacking minigame, right? Other than that, like, why did Capcom say, let's invest millions of dollars in this new IP, let's spend a lot of time working on this game and seemingly maybe retooling it, rebooting it. It was delayed indefinitely for a while. Now it's back. And even now, having seen like the new trailers, the new reveals, and having played some of the game, I'm still like, what is this game's deal? You know, like that big question. And I think a lot of people are also asking that. What's that hook? What's that thing here other than just serviceable, somewhat creative third-person gameplay? Like, what else is there? And I think that kind of serves as the field for the seeds of conspiracy to be planted. You know, it's like you fill in the blanks. Like, oh, if it's just this like whatever kind of generic spaceman game, maybe it's not. Maybe there's more to it. Maybe it is a Mega Man game. And you know what? Honestly, I would love to see that because I think Capcom's been on a good run with their IP and bringing some IP back and stuff like that. And I think Mega Man could print money if done right, if brought back in the modern age. It's a pretty simple, straightforward thing. It's like a recognizable, fun, creative character. Is this game like could Pragmata serve as like a lead up to that or a tease to that? Maybe. I don't know. That'd be fun. But I also still think of Mega Man as somewhat a little bit more of a cartoony world. There has to be a little zest, a little fun to it. Look, I don't know for sure. I've talked way too long about this baseless conspiracy theory, but it's an interesting one. And honestly, it's one I endorse. Why not? I would love to see it. And again, I think that mostly comes down to it being a new IP, which we want, right? We don't want endless remakes and reboots and sequels, right? This is a new IP, but it's one that's still just kind of like, okay, you know, what else you got with this? So I think it all still remains to be said. Gonna wait and see. If Pragmata is just Pragmata, I'm not gonna be disappointed. I'm gonna judge the game on that itself, but yeah. Hey, and welcome back to another Q&A video. So if you're new here, essentially what I do is I take your questions to just yap about stuff. Games I haven't covered or talked about in the past, movies, pop culture, YouTube, gaming, anything at all. So what I do is you leave questions for me, anything you want me to talk about in the comment section of this video. And then for the next video that I make, I'm gonna go in this comment section and take questions. So these questions are from the previous video I did. Check it out if you haven't. Anyway, the next question comes from Jeff Skinner 3974, who says, I recently had to buy a computer for school, which means I can finally dive into all the PC games I thought looked cool over the years because I've been on console since I was a kid. Any recommendations on where to start? Welcome to this fun, wide world. It's cool. I think it's tough not knowing your genre preferences, but maybe you're down to clown and try a little bit of everything. I have some like weird recommendations, but like play Tribes, play Quake, like some version of Quake. I would download Tony Hawk's Underground, like the whole fan remake project, Thug Pro. Mods are a fun place to mess around with. The easy, like, kind of like the stepping stone, I would say, is like Skyrim. Get Skyrim and then mod the shit out of Skyrim and see if you like that. But distinctly PC experiences, Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines, it's definitely showing its age, but it's something you can't really get that experience on console. And then there's plenty of things that people are playing that we haven't seen, like Escape from Tarkov or something like that, if you're real sweaty. Or even, I still think Stalker just feels the best on PC. And then also, of course, that is a whole other wide world of mods and fun fan-made games and stuff like that. So if you're into that, if you're into like weirder, more hardcore nerdy stuff like Project Zomboid, I would try that. I would also say give a crack at strategy games and things like that, because yes, a lot of them are available on console. Like Frostpunk 2 just dropped on console, but like those games I will only play on PC. So check that out. Check out Civilization. I would say start with like Civ 5 or something like that first. But oh shit, Half-Life. I mean, absolutely. There's so much stuff, right? I'm like not even scratching the surface. It's a tough question, but hopefully I've given you at least a little bit to start. Go with God. I'm sure many people in the comments will have their own recommendations as well, because again, like I said at the start, it's a big wild world and a lot of it is going to be you dealing with Windows being a piece of crap sometimes. But welcome to the world of PC gaming. So next, this question is from Bald Beard Axe Dad. Over the years, I always wondered if you have an unpopular opinion about a game recently with, say, Assassin's Creed Shadows. Yeah, side note, I did get a lot of heat for not liking that game. It is what it is. So look, sometimes I don't like a game that maybe one of you guys end up liking. It's not the end of the world. It's treated like the end of the world online. But anyway, I digress. How exactly does that sit with the Gameranx team? Do they allow you the freedom of expressing your thoughts, even if they truly think otherwise? Yeah, it's not a big deal. And I think it's either way with anybody, like a writer behind the scenes or Falcon and Eric with the Before You Buys, like that I don't take on. I think there's never really been too much argument or too much pushback because of how we talk about games, which I kind of like set up sort of the baseline for, where like I've talked about this a million times, but like we don't rage. And I think anytime we have like criticism about a game, it doesn't come from like a place of like just mean-spiritedness or like not backing it up. So there have been a couple of times where one of us has not liked a game that was going to release that generally was going to be received very well. And we talk about it. We'd be like, ooh, some people are going to be a little at this one, but you just do what you do and you keep going. Hey, you DVD, thank you for the kind words. They went on to ask, have you had downtime from gaming over the years? Do you have an ebb and flow with the amount of time you put it, or has it been pretty consistent? How many games do you beat in a slow month versus a busy one? I don't even know. He mentions tackling my 13-year backlog means I miss out on new titles. So I'd say for me, the ebb and flow with gaming, not now, obviously, because a lot of playing games is like part of my job, but I think we've all had that ebb and flow, that downtime. I'd say gaming is probably one of the most consistent things I've had in my life. So it's ultimately kind of why I chose to try to do this for a job and just try and, well, ultimately I started doing it for fun and then went from there. But I think the ebb and flow with gaming and like the ups and downs is a lot of things. And it's been a transition for me because when I was younger, it was access. Like I didn't have a lot of money at all. I can only play what I could afford, and I missed a lot of stuff, like a lot of people do. And then when you get older, you may have a full-time job and have some income for games, but then you have less time. So there's that. And like, I don't get a lot of time to play games that I want to play for myself, like weird games or indie games or something outside of the main games I'm reviewing, because life and being an adult and all that. So I don't really have any like advice or tips for that. I've talked about that a little bit more in other videos, but ultimately just the observation of how it changes. I think the only time I had a small dip in gaming was like when I started getting interested in like girls and stuff like that. And also just generation stuff. Like there was a period where I was big on Xbox 3. I was huge on PS2, then big on Xbox 360, didn't have money for a PS3 for a while, and then eventually I got a PS3 and I had to play catch up. So, it's like that type of thing. Hey, next up, this video is sponsored by Displate. What is Displate, you may ask? Well, if you don't know by now, Displate is the best way to make your home, your workplace, your gaming room, anywhere, just look cooler. Get rid of those old boring paper posters you may have on the wall and replace them with these. Displate offers these real metal posters. I got some right here. They have over 2 million displays available in their catalog, covering all kinds of stuff, unique art, but also tons of cool brands. You got Elden Ring, Cyberpunk, The Witcher, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, and then me personally, I lean towards movies. I put movie stuff up. I've been loving that lately. Their latest product though is Textra. This is a metal poster with an added layer of depth to it. Tactile textures with like cool gloss and matte effects, just really kind of giving you a little bit of a different feel. Maybe where you live, you can't put nails on your walls, or you're like me and you're just an awkward spaz and every time you hang something up, it just falls down. Well, Displate makes it easy. You put a sticker leaf on your wall and then a magnet and then boom, it goes right up. Easy peasy. It literally takes seconds, so you can go from bare walls to just complete self-expression almost instantly. So it's that time of year again. Displate is back with their annual Collectors Fest. This is a special discount to the end of September, so it's a good time to start or add to your Displate collection. You can get 1 to 2 displays 32% off, or 3 or more displays 37% off. All you gotta do is click my link in the description down below to get that discount automatically applied at checkout. Again, special discounts till the end of September, so click the link in the description down below to get in on that, and big thanks to Displate for sponsoring this video. Yom17 asks, hey Jake, what are some of your favorite games with a twist? Either at the ending or a mid-game mechanic that keeps things fresh. For them, it was Assassin's Creed. Quote, watching Minerva address Desmond directly at the end of 2 will forever be a core memory of my teenage brain. Anything along those lines come to mind? It's so funny, I always reference Assassin's Creed 2 with that Desmond. Who is this Desmond? Anyway, favorite games with a twist. Like, there's the obvious ones, of course, like the big ones, the famous twists, but kind of a weirder one is Oddworld Stranger's Wrath. Oddworld Stranger's Wrath took a very different turn where it started out as this quirky alien sci-fi first-person shooter with a vaguely Fallout New Vegas-y type vibe. Kind of devolves into this like fun third-person action sci-fi epic. Like the camera perspective changes, you as a character kind of transforms, and the stakes and the world and everything just feel bigger towards the second half of the game. I don't know how well it's aged. I haven't replayed that game, but at the time playing that, I was just like, whoa, I did not expect this. This is really cool. I like to try and like delve and come up with like more unconventional things I remember. So hopefully that answers your question. Emily64 says, what is your advice to gamers who want to start creating content? And what do you think of the change in content/viewer habits? Example, the shift towards discussion essays and away from Let's Plays, etc. Not sure if that's just me and my habits or a wider phenomenon. Yeah, I would say that there are still plenty of like Let's Players and those types of things. I follow them. Like that's still a thing. It's not all shifting to essays. There's all different types of content for all different types of people. You have to do what you want to do. First of all, the thing I always say whenever I give advice is just start. Stop thinking about doing it and just start doing it. You might learn a skill. You might have fun, most importantly. So just jump, like literally just jump into it. But along with that, again, like try to make something that you want to make because people want authenticity. Do something that you feel passionate about, something you want to make. Gameranx, perfect example. We've experimented, but we haven't done a lot of short form content. You know why? Yes, obviously it's a great business move, but none of us really liked making it. We didn't really come up with any good idea. So there's that. So just do what you want to do, make what you want to make, and start yesterday. The real You Can, You Will. I am a huge Mummy 1999 fan. Obviously, same. It's my favorite movie ever, but even at a time as a young teenager, I didn't like the sequel. I just wanted to ask, what is your earliest memory of being terribly disappointed by a movie and or a game? Being young and having low standards, frankly, but still knowing that what you get is just bad. Okay, the video game one, like, there's all the obvious answers. Fable 3, shit like that, but let's do... okay, this is going to sound really out of left field. S- Army Men Sarge's Heroes. That was like 2003, 2004. I remember when that was coming out, like the Army Men games were pretty cool. And this felt like we're like, oh, that looks sick. Like the cover and like the concept and everything. And then playing it and being like, this is mediocre. This sucks. I have a stronger feeling actually with movies when I was really young. Batman and Robin. Batman and Robin released, and I was like, man, this isn't good. This I don't like this. It like being so young at the time, but coming off of the high of Batman Forever, being obsessed with Batman Forever, being obsessed with Batman 1989, Tim Burton, being obsessed with Batman the animated series, and then seeing something like Batman and Robin just felt awful. Like it did not really quite carry the torch of Batman Forever and what that set up. And I was disappointed. Mr. Freeze, completely done dirty. Bane, really done dirty. I thought like the action with Bane was kind of cool as a kid, but just Mr. Freeze bummed me out. Robin was annoying. The George Clooney's Batman was fucking terrible. There just really wasn't anything to it. Now as an adult, I can understand the approach to it. They were going for camp. They were going for silver. They were going for Adam West Batman type of thing. And I appreciate it from like a filmmaking craft, but just absolutely disappointed as a kid. I had the poster in my room before the movie came out. And then like I took it down. I was so hyped for that movie and ultimately disappointed. Cinema Backlog says, I clearly remember being a kid and booting up the first Assassin's Creed game that I had just received for Christmas and thinking to myself, these graphics are peak. Games will never look better than this. What's a game that you've played that you maybe thought the same thing or something similar? It's funny you mention that. It's also crazy to say that like you were a kid with Assassin's Creed, that like I feel older, but I remember watching trailers online, like watching like IGN had hosted those first Assassin's Creed trailers, the one that like it was gameplay, but you're like, is this really gameplay? This is crazy. And I had to wait for it to buffer forever. But I was the same way. I was like, there's no way, this is unbelievable. I actually think for me, these graphics are peak. I have two moments, I think, where I kind of felt that. The first was Uncharted. And just being like, this is insane. This looks absolutely insane. The amount of detail, the quality of animations, which is something that Naughty Dog had really always specialized in, specifically that time coming off from the Jack games. But also Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Elder Scrolls Oblivion, being so hyped for that game. And I talked about this in the Oblivion remaster video a couple months back, but like being hyped for that game, following the news, following the magazine stuff, downloading the little trailers and freaking out about them. And then finally playing it and like opening the gate and finally being dropped right in the middle there in that valley with the insane draw distances that I had never seen before. No fog or anything like that. Absolutely incredible. I thought that was the pinnacle for a long time. And now it's so funny to look back at that game. I still think that game has a great artistic quality, but yes, it looks older. It happens. So I think the real moral of the story is that we're all always wrong all the time. Binbag Wisdom says, where is your Claire Obscure Expedition 33 video? Please and thank you. I know this is my video now, the one I say I'm going to make, and I still haven't. I did the before you buy on Gameranx. I said it was great. I recommended it, but I didn't go in depth on like spoiler stuff or anything like that. And I still want to do that. I have notes. I have all types of things for a video. I just want to replay it again. And I'm also in the period of my life too where I'm showing it to other people. I've like told friends about it. You may have watched another YouTuber that mentioned me recommending it to them. I've just been exposing people to it and kind of getting their reactions and kind of using that to fuel how I want to talk about the game moving on. And honestly, I think a lot of it is going to be me talking about the soundtrack, because that's the thing that has actually stuck with me the most now, months past that game. So as many Japanese game developers say, please look forward to it. Ooh, GSE Gaming 9300 says, what is the worst sponsorship you ever took? I've talked about this on social media. I can be upfront about this. The worst one that we ever took at Gameranx was Raid Shadow Legends. Back in the early days, not because like there was anything like backlash or we got ripped off by them or anything like that. Literally just us going, oh, we shouldn't have done that, and we're never going to do that again, because we very quickly realized like, oh, well, we don't take like normal video game sponsorships like publishers and shit like that. So why would we take it for this mobile game, especially when we spend so much time fighting against anti-consumer practices, very much actively voicing against crappy game monetization and shit like that, right? And then here we are taking a sponsorship and promoting one of those games. So we very quickly never did that again. And along with that, like people don't realize, but like we don't do sponsored video game anything. Some of your favorite content creators every once in a while will throw out a video that just happens to be like completely sponsored by a game, and it's them talking about the game. You could do that. They're free to do that, get the bag, but that's not how I've ever operated. I want that complete separation of church and state. Remember that? But yeah, Tyler L1M says RoboCop movie was awful. Who are you okay? Why would you come around here and say that on my channel? Ridiculous. Next, Jed Faulkner 522 says, how do you deal with reviewing a game that's not really your jam? For example, I'm not really into farming sims, so I don't think I could give a valuable review of a new Stardew Valley. Would you outsource? No, we don't outsource. I very much, and it happens a lot. Like Falcon and Eric and then me, right? Like we kind of tend to like the same types of games. Little variations here and there, but when I have to jump into a game that I'm not really my jam, I kind of make it my mission to become upset, like to learn a new genre and add a new thing to my plate. That's how I've always done it, and I've gotten into more genres since I started covering games, and I'm grateful for that opportunity. But what I like doing is kind of drilling down and finding out why a community or of this genre really likes that game. What is that thing? What is that hook? What is that thing that really gets them going about that genre? Really understanding that and then looking for that in that game that I am covering. Does that make sense? It's not much, but it took a long time for me to like separate just me going, I don't like it. I don't like these types of games. And really being like, well, what's going on here? It can kind of look more inquisitive because it's video games. Who cares? Life is short. My account 217 says, yo, Jake, what's your favorite video game soundtrack? Aside from like a Tony Hawk license thing or anything like that, or a Def Jam Vendetta, if you will. I think for me, I know I just said it before, but Expedition 33 is absolutely up there. I have that shit on repeat. I pre-ordered the album, the vinyls. Another one is probably Metal Gear Solid 1. It's got a really good lo-fi spooky feel to it. And last but certainly not least, Final Fantasy X. I have that on CD still to this day. I love it. Top to bottom, incredible bangers. The battle themes, the themes, all of it is so good. I just realized I yapped for like 20 minutes or so I should go. I always say at these videos, I'm wrapping up. If you're listening to this like a podcast, hey, it is time to stop folding laundry, finish, emptying your dishwasher, etc., etc. So let me know in the comments what you think about all the shit I had to say, but most importantly, leave some questions for me in the next one. I'm trying to do 2 of these a month now, so let me know if you're interested in that as just kind of like long form me type videos. But yeah, leave your questions, anything you got for me, hit me up. Thank you for listening to me yap today. I appreciate it. I'm just talking about stuff I love. So if you get that, clicking the like button legit helps. But that's it. I'm Jake Baldino. Have a great one. Subscribe because video games, pizza's on me.